Emily stood by the long pinewood table, beautifully decorated with red and gold ribbons, blinking lights, and plates stacked high with roasted turkey, buttered vegetables, and baked ham. It would have been magical, if any of it belonged to her. But Margaret, her stepmother, made certain it didn't. "Put that down," Margaret snapped when Emily reached for a biscuit. "You haven't earned anything today. Go to your room." Emily's fingers curled inward as she stepped back. Her father, Thomas, stood across the room, head bowed, too afraid, or too exhausted, to challenge his domineering wife. The room buzzed with laughter from Margaret's relatives. Their children ate until crumbs dusted their shirts while Emily's stomach twisted painfully. No one looked at her. No one asked why she wasn't eating. It was Christmas, and still, she was invisible. She turned away, pressing a hand to her belly. The warmth of the house felt suffocating, as if love existed everywhere except inside her chest. A knock that changed everything. Outside, snow fell steadily, coating the driveway like powdered sugar. Emily slipped on her worn coat and stepped onto the porch, hoping the freezing air would numb the hunger. She had barely taken 3 steps when headlights flashed across the yard. A sleek black car pulled up, followed by the slam of a door. A tall man in a long charcoal coat strode toward the house. He looked expensive, everything from his polished shoes to the gold watch peeking from his sleeve. But what struck Emily most was his face. Strong, determined, familiar. "Emily?" he asked in a voice soft but filled with disbelief. She froze. "Yes." The man knelt down, eyes suddenly glassy. "I knew it. You look just like her." "Like who?" "Your mother," he whispered, his voice breaking. "I'm your Uncle Michael." Emily blinked. She had heard her mother mention a brother once, before she'd passed away 2 years earlier. But he had lived overseas, and no one had spoken of him since. Michael stood, fury sparking in his eyes as he glanced toward the house. "Why are you outside alone? And why do you look so thin?" Emily hesitated, then looked down. I wasn't allowed to eat." It was as if lightning struck him. "What?" His voice thundered, warm and terrifying. "Who told you that?" My stepmother." Michael didn't wait for more. He stormed toward the front door, flinging it open so hard it rattled the wreath right off its hook. The millionaire storms in. The laughter inside died instantly. Margaret spun around, face tightening at the sight of him. "Excuse me. Who are you?" Michael pointed at her like she was a stain. "How dare you starve my niece on Christmas?" A gasp rippled through the room. Thomas rose from his chair, pale. "Michael, I didn't know you were coming." "No, you didn't know because you never answered my letters or calls," Michael snapped. "Maybe because you didn't want me to see what's been happening to Emily." Margaret folded her arms. "She's exaggerating. She already ate. I just saw her outside shivering and hungry," Michael boomed. "And I swear, if you lie again." Margaret's lips clamped shut. Michael marched to Emily, who stood trembling in the doorway, and gently lifted her into the warmest embrace she had felt in years. "You're coming with me," he declared. Margaret sputtered, "You can't just take her." "Yes, I can," Michael said coldly. "I've already spoken with a family attorney. I came because I suspected neglect. But after witnessing this," he glared at the untouched plate Emily had tried to reach. "This is abuse." Thomas sank into his chair, guilt weighing his shoulders. "Margaret," he whispered, "I can't do this anymore." Michael locked eyes with him. "Then do something right for once." The room turned silent except for the ticking of the clock and the muffled sound of children chewing, the only ones still eating. Finally, Thomas nodded, tears forming. "Emily, you can go with your uncle." A new beginning. Michael carried Emily to his car, wrapping his coat around her to shield her from the icy wind. Inside, the heater hummed, filling the space with welcome warmth. Emily stared at him timidly. "Do you really want me?" she whispered. "No, sweetheart." Michael smiled gently. "I need you. You're the last piece of your mother I have left. And I'm going to make sure you're safe, loved, and never hungry again." Emily's throat tightened. She hadn't heard words like that in so long. "But," she whispered, "what if I'm a burden?" Michael's expression softened into something unbreakable. "You could never be a burden. Your family." And for the first time in 2 years, she believed it. Challenges they faced. The weeks that followed were not easy. Emily struggled with nightmares, memories of being ignored, scolded, and left out. She flinched when someone raised their voice. She hesitated before reaching for food. Michael noticed everything. He arranged therapy, enrolled her in a supportive school, and cooked breakfast with her every morning, even though he was a multimillionaire CEO used to business meetings, not making scrambled eggs. But the biggest challenge came when Thomas asked to visit. Emily felt torn, between anger and the tiny part of her heart that still remembered being held by him as a toddler. Michael didn't push her. He simply said, "When you're ready." It took months, but eventually, Emily agreed to meet her father. She wasn't the timid girl from that bitter Christmas anymore. She stood taller, more confident. And when Thomas, now separated from Margaret, knelt before her crying apologies, she listened quietly. "I forgive you," she finally said, voice steadier than she expected. "But I'm staying with Uncle Michael." He nodded, knowing she had found where she truly belonged. A Christmas Reborn. 1 year later, snow fell again, soft, musical, magical. Inside Michael's warm, bustling home, Christmas lights glowed against the windows. The smell of gingerbread and roasted turkey filled every corner. Emily, now brighter, healthier, and full of laughter, placed the star atop the Christmas tree. Michael clapped proudly. "Perfect." She jumped down, wrapping her arms around him. "This is the best Christmas ever." He hugged her back. "Because you're here. And you're loved." Emily's eyes shone. "I never thought Christmas could feel like this." Michael lifted her chin gently. "Christmas is about belonging. And you, Emily, will always belong."